have you ever struggled in a relationship with someone with the other person's anger? Quick story. I had a parent reach out to me today and say, hey, Erin, my youngest child is dealing with some big angry outbursts, some angry behaviors. You were the first person we thought of. I know that you work with families. Can you help? And of course I said, yeah, let's get on a Zoom call. I'll chat with you and your partner. Maybe we can find you a play therapist, a certified play therapist in your city to help out your little person. But I wanted to do a post about this because, of course, this is a really common problem for many of us. Most of us did not have healthy role models for dealing with anger in our families of origin. If you did, that's amazing, but most of us did not have that. So the first thing I told her, which I'm going to share with you here, is that anger is very often a secondary emotion. It's a secondary emotion that we pivot to because it makes us feel like we're more in control, even if we're not really more in control. Often there's a primary emotion underneath, a more passive emotional state, something like fear or sadness or grief or shame or helplessness or hopelessness. One of these sort of emotions that tends to come, it's incredibly stressful, incredibly pressurizing inside the body, but we can pivot to anger so quickly that we aren't actually aware of what that primary emotion is. So if you are in a relationship with somebody and you want to be supportive around this, obviously absent toxic behaviors or abusive behaviors. We're not talking about circumstances where somebody is angry and engaging in toxic or abusive behaviors. In that case, the most important thing is for you to be safe, physically, emotionally, psychologically. That it should go without saying, but I want to say that explicitly. But if you're in a situation, say as a parent or a caregiver to a child or with a partner who is trying to grapple with anger, but it's not coming out at you, but they're struggling, know that it can be a secondary emotion, that there can be a primary emotion that isn't registering with their conscious mind underneath it, one of those more passive emotional states. Sometimes that can help us to identify what's going on underneath. Now, of course, there's often unmet need. Anytime we have a stressful emotion in the body, there's an unmet need or needs happening here. And so identifying that sometimes will actually start to happen more automatically, insightfully, or even intuitively once you recognize that anger is a secondary emotion, that there may be a primary emotion underneath that's even more stressful. And if we can identify it, sometimes the solution will start to appear. Now, one of my favorite relationship experts, Heidi Schleifer, says, quote, anger is how human beings protest disconnection. So this is a second prompt that you can use. So look for the primary emotion underneath, number one. Number two, ask, what am I feeling disconnected from if it's my anger? Or what is this person maybe feeling disconnected from? Is it, maybe a little person from their school has moved on and they're missing their friend. They're grieving the absence of that connection. This can, of course, happen with adults as well. Now, I think the conversation about anger that we need to be having, I think, needs to be thoughtful. It needs to be nuanced. Again, we're not giving anybody an alibi or get out of jail free card for bad behaviors that they engage in, toxic or abusive behaviors, not okay. But I do think we want to have a more nuanced conversation about anger. It has tremendous utility. It can help us get connected with boundaries we didn't know we have, and that's just the beginning.